Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanstam Shri Rupam.
Please, quickly. Maharaj is here. We want to take maximum Maharaj association. A quick introduction to Maharaj. His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Maharaj Swami. Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj was born as a French Canadian Roman Catholic parents in province of Ontario. Maharaj spent 7 years of his undergraduate studies in a seminary before completing his Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Ottawa in 1968, majoring in philosophy and social psychology. After serving as a social worker and counselor from 1968 to 1971, Maharaj joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1974 and was initiated in the same year as Raghav Pandit Das. Youth services from 1974 to 1976, Maharaj served at ISKCON Ottawa Temple. From 1976 to 1992, Maharaj lived in India, pioneering the New Bhakta program and Namahata village preaching program from Sridham Mayapur and the Bhakti Vedanta Youth Services from ISKCON Calcutta. Maharaj accepted the order of sannyas on Gaura Purnima in 1985. From 1993 to 2000, Maharaj served as co-GBC of ISKCON Canada as the temple president of ISKCON Montreal. From here, 2001 to 2004, Maharaj was based in Indonesia, where he helped to develop and oversee 6 rural community projects, in addition to youth hostels. In the year 2004, Maharaj completed his master's degree in education cum laude from the State University of Yogyakarta, writing his thesis entitled A Comparative Study of Gurukul and Pondok Pancentran, a case study of 3 Gurukuls in India and 3 Pondok Pancentran in Indonesia, Committee for India in the year 2007. Finally, Maharaj in the university, Maharaj has concentrated his preaching mostly in Asian countries such as India, Indonesia and Cambodia. Maharaj travels extensively and holds seminars promoting the Varnashrama mission. Maharaj has authored several books such as Make Vrindavan Village and Varnashrama Education. Devotees wishing to contact His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj or desiring to assist in the preaching mission of Varnashrama Dharma may contact Maharaj. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. I'd like to just say one thing while Maharaj is here. For a moment, just all of you close your eyes and think you are in an ocean. You are in a big ocean, right? And somewhere in the corner of an ocean, there is one wooden log floating. Somewhere. What is the probability that you can find that wooden log? 1 out of a million. And just think, somewhere in the ocean from underneath, there is a turtle coming up. From underneath the ocean, there is a turtle coming up to take a gulp of oxygen. And the wooden log has a hole in it, and the turtle comes up to take the oxygen, and its head gets stuck in the hole in the wooden log. What is the probability? Right? The probability is maybe 0.0000000 and 0.000% of a turtle in such a big ocean getting its head stuck in a wooden log floating somewhere. Just multiply that by a million times is the probability of getting the association of a pure devotee, His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj, here with all of us. I'm not just saying it, this is real. We have to be really, grateful to Srila Prabhupada that he has continued the parampara and he has given us such great Maharajas who are still giving Prabhupada's presence to all of us and are enabling us to serve Prabhupada in so many ways. Maharaj, I personally saw Maharaj once in Denver, and Maharaj gave an amazing talk in the Denver temple. Since then I was always craving, and when I came to India also, when we started the Goshala, in my mind always that speech was running. And the desire has always been Maharaj to call Maharaj, but Maharaj has been very busy off late. But now today Maharaj has given a little time to all of us. So from all the Gachibowli Satsang members, let's pay our humble obeisances to His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj and pray that we keep getting this kind of association whenever possible when Maharaj is here. Let's welcome once again His Holiness Maharaj with great loud 3 Hari Bols! One last announcement, there are some wonderful books written and they are kept below the poster there, you can see. Please take each one of the books. The target is there should be no books when we close the hall today. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Whoever is playing instruments, either mridanga, at least one kartal. Do we have kartal?
Yeah.
Oh, here. Yeah, already in place. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopidana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Jamuna Tira Vanamsari Jamuna Tira Vanamsari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Hari 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 Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Gaura Pimanandi, Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa, Pri Vrajakachaja Stotra Satta, Sri Simar, His Divine Grace, Chiraboy Charanarvinda Bhakti Raghava Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, ISKCON DBT, Founder Acharya's Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem se Gahava Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki, Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dham ki, Sri Dwarka Dham ki, Sri Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Sri Navadip Mayapur Dham ki, Sri Mayapur Chandraday Mandir ki, Gangamayi Jamunamayi ki, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki, Harinama Sankirtana ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Jai Shri Sri Gauranitai ki, Jai Shri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki, Jai Shri Krishna Balarama ki, Jai Shri Giri Govardhana ki, Jai Shri Sri Radha Madhava ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd like to request everyone to kindly fold your hands, holding the palm of your hands close to your heart, and kindly repeat the following two short mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Surabhyai Namaha. Om Surabhyai Namaha. Om Surabhyai Namaha. Om Surabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinatharanam yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinatharanam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. It is my great fortune and my great pleasure to be here this evening with all of you. Just before coming, I had two wonderful darshans. Just before entering, we had unexpected, wonderful darshan of two cows. It was mercy. It is always wonderful to meet a new congregation of devotees wherever we are traveling. By the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and especially by the mercy of his pure representative, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, as we can all witness, actually, I'm sure, if anyone travels a little bit, the number of devotees are very nicely increasing, especially here in India, actually. So congratulations to all of you, and especially Lilananda Prabhu for inspiring so many devotees to actually come to the fold of Krishna consciousness. Ultimately, it is all the mercy of the devotees, of our acharyas, because we come to know from Shastra that even though we may endeavor to the best of our ability to advance in Krishna consciousness, unless we receive the special mercy of the Vaishnavas, we cannot advance so nicely. It is a testimony, a real testimony to our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada that although physically not present on the planet for over 45 years now, but the mission of Krishna consciousness continues, and as we all know, is meant to expand to such an extent that actually the golden era of such a yuga, in a very inconceivable way, will one day be established. And Prabhupada actually mentioned in the context of Varnashrama, because I'd like to speak a little bit about that, since it is very much an area that in many ways has been neglected, that has been and continues to be misunderstood in many ways. But it was something, and remains something very important for our movement and for Srila Prabhupada as well. This morning I had the good fortune of being at our ISKCON Abbot's temple, having darshan of C.C. Radha Madan Mohan, Gaurnitai, Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and in the Bhagavatam, the very nice pastime of Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj, one of many great Rajarshis, saintly kings, Raja Rishis, who ruled not only here in India, but actually he is, as we come to know from Srimad Bhagavatam, our Vedic kings were actually not only kings, they were emperors, emperor of the whole world. Previously, Vedic culture was very much spread all over the world, and due to the influence of Kali Yuga, of course, that has changed. However, it was and remains the desire and very much the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and of our Vaishnava Acharyas to reintroduce and re-establish what we call the Vedic culture, what is known here in India and gradually will become known outside of India as well as Sanatan Dharma. And all of us, we have actually a role to play in assisting Srila Prabhupada, in assisting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to introduce this mission of Sanatan Dharma that Srila Prabhupada equates in various purports in the Bhagavatam also as Varnashrama Dharma. and also as divine culture. He translates Varnashrama Dharma as divine culture because it takes into account both the spiritual dimension of life as well as the material dimension of life. And because we are here in the material world, we cannot neglect the material energy. Of course, as devotees, we understand this energy is created by the Supreme Lord, and there's a particular purpose, there's a particular plan as well. Our endeavor as devotees should be to try and understand the plan of the Lord. We have a tendency, all of us, of making so many plans. Most of our plans don't work out. But still we go on plan making. But we should know that actually the more we can harmonize our plans with Krishna's plans, and the more we can also accept that very often our plans will be changed because Krishna has other plans, then the more we can assist the Lord and His various representatives in fulfilling that plan. I think we all know, definitely we all know to some extent or other, how challenging is the modern society that has been created by persons who are lacking in Krishna consciousness. All modern society since the last few hundred years, as Srila Prabhupada often would remind us, is a misdirected society, overly materialistic society, and very, very destructive in so many ways as well. Our whole modern system of education, I'm sure we have all heard or read, Srila Prabhupada refers to that system of education as Atmahana, killer of the soul. Actually, in one statement, Prabhupada mentions that if one is not Krishna conscious, if one is not endeavoring to become Krishna conscious, then he is involved in destruction. He is killing in so many ways, directly or indirectly. It is actually the duty and responsibility of each and every one of us, and even more so those of you, and it's probably 99.9% of those who are present this evening, those who are born in the land of India, of Bharatvarsha, to understand the importance of Dharma, of Sanatana Dharma, to take it up personally, very diligently, very sincerely in our individual daily practice, and simultaneously to assist our acharyas in spreading this mission that we all know as the mission of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada spoke about so many things, gave so many wonderful instructions, inaugurated so many different projects, and gave so many plans for spreading Krishna consciousness. One time he mentioned how those who are sincere devotees, he told this especially to his first disciples in America, that a sincere devotee should be taxing his brain. He uses that word, taxing. We should be taxing our brain to understand how we can assist in some way or other to spread Krishna consciousness. I want to come back to this aspect of dharma, but just mention how in the Bhagavad Gita, in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada explains how those who are on the Paramahamsa level, the liberated souls, the Uttam Adhikaris, they are constantly able to fully experience transcendental happiness. And that is the goal for all of us, actually, to come to that platform, which is only possible when we fully become detached and freed from the modes of material nature. So those who are on that level, and it's very rare to find such personalities, they are always constantly actually in that mood and that consciousness of transcendental bliss. Srila Prabhupada explains that there is also another way in which we can begin to taste that transcendental happiness, which all of us are seeking actually. Those who are unaware of the spiritual dimension of life, they are seeking this happiness in material activities, but as we know, are being frustrated constantly. So Srila Prabhupada explains how there's another, fortunately for all of us, there's another method, another way in which we can begin to experience this transcendental happiness, transcendental consciousness, and that is by becoming absorbed in the preaching mission of the Lord. This is what we read about, especially in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who had so many wonderful associates, who of course were most fortunate to have the darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who were closely associating with him and who were fully absorbed in spreading the mission of the Lord. This is still possible today by the mercy again of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, that the more we can understand his desire, his mission. His desire, his mission is the desire of Krishna. The pure devotees simply endeavor to carry out the mission of the Lord. And we simply have to follow in their footsteps. Try to understand, try to imbibe their mood and their mentality. And if we do this, we will begin to experience actually transcendental happiness. This evening especially, since the majority of our audience are householders, I'd like to speak a little bit about what maybe some devotees may be less aware of, what some devotees may consider, Hare Krishna, even controversial. Controversy is not always a bad thing, by the way. And it's important to speak on some controversial topics to help all of us make them less controversial. I'm referring to, kindly excuse the voice. I should have brought my... It's okay. I'm referring to actually what is called okay, that's good. Thank you. The 50% of Srila Prabhupada's unfulfilled mission. Let me ask the question. How many of you present here have heard about this 50% of Prabhupada's unfulfilled mission? Kindly raise your hand. Not many hands are up. Yeah. I'm not making this up. The subject matter of dharma, we can see, for example, in the past times, in the Mahabharata, when Draupadi is very badly insulted in the assembly, and no one comes to her rescue, no one comes to her rescue, even though great personalities like Grandfather Bhishma Dev, Mahajan, one of our 12 Mahajans, Vidura, they are present, they don't say anything. And of course, later on, we come to know and we come to understand that sometimes subject matters relating to dharma are very intricate and not so easily understood. Of course. I'll share it with you. Open secret. I'll pass it around. It says, Maharaj, don't forget to leave time for questions and answers. Nothing more. So, this is one of probably many examples where, there are instances where it's just not so obvious or not so easy to understand certain aspects of dharma. And I would say in many ways, the whole topic of varnashrama is a little bit like that. Initially, as a devotee in my early years, although when I came to India, after spending 2 years in Canada, at the temple where I joined in Ottawa, probably like many of my godbrothers and godsisters, we had a desire to come to India. And but it was like unthinkable to stay in India. I mean, even visiting India was like quite rare. So when I came to India, by Prabhupada's mercy, Mahaprabhu's mercy, I was in Mayapur. I was able to stay in Mayapur actually for 10 consecutive years, and got involved in the early, actually the beginnings of what is called the Namhata program, where most of the time I was out of Mayapur visiting different villages, mostly in Bengal and Orissa. And throughout all of those years, 10 years is a good number of years. Although I was going every day and interacting with villagers and introducing the Namhata program, Varnashrama didn't mean anything to me at that time. It was like all of us, we read, because we can't avoid the word. It's in practically in every other purport of Srila Prabhupada. And what's amazing is that sometimes I've witnessed that personally in Mayapur. It comes to my mind. sometimes devotees, sometimes even sannyasis reading a text from the Bhagavatam, where in the text itself it speaks about Varnashrama, in the purport it speaks about Varnashrama, and the whole class, nothing about Varnashrama. It's like quite amazing. So it took me many years. Actually, only after I left India, which after spending a good number of years, mostly in Bengal, then I came to Secunderabad actually. So after leaving India, somehow at some particular point, I started to get a little bit of understanding, mainly by reading a very important essay written by our founder Acharya. And I will ask my second question. How many of you present here have heard about the essay called Gita Nagari? Gita Nagari, essay written by Srila Prabhupada, okay. Then I will not ask my second question, how many have read? Gita Nagari was written by Srila Prabhupada and appeared in his Back to Godhead magazine way back in 1956. Yeah, I guess I was 10 years old. But before that, in 1949, what Srila Prabhupada is explaining, one of the very fundamental points which he refers to in the essay Gita Nagari, he speaks about in that letter, a very historical letter written to Dr. Patel, who was the Deputy Prime Minister at that time, 1949, right? And he speaks about 4 movements. How many have heard about 4 movements? Well, if you haven't read the essay Gita Nagari, you haven't heard about 4 movements. 4 movements means 4 stages which are interconnected for introducing and spreading fully the mission of the Lord, the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mission of Sanatana Dharma. And I just want to very briefly, now, is there a clock here?
We have time.
Huh?
It's 7:05. We have time till 9.
Okay. Now, it would help me to know, you're renting this place, you have to get out at a certain time, or?
Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow.
The typical devotee answer. Forget about the time. No, but what time is prasadam?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So, for me it was a revelation to read the essay on Gita Nagari. I'd known a little bit about it, but you know, sometimes we read something, but maybe not with the kind of attention that we should. So it changed, it brought many changes for me in terms of having a little bit of understanding of why Prabhupada refers or mentions that 50% of my mission is unfulfilled. So just very briefly, I'll walk you through these 4 movements. I'm personally very firmly convinced that without understanding, without knowing about these 4 movements, it will be impossible to properly execute and carry out Prabhupada's mission or Mahaprabhu's mission. I think you'll understand once I just explain this. So the first movement, these are Prabhupada's own words that he uses, is Sankirtan movement. Sankirtan movement in this context refers to two things: spreading the holy name, and also what Prabhupada calls the Brihat Mridanga, transcendental books, literatures, distributing books. Which, if we look at the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, he began his movement, isn't it, by going out in the streets of Navadvip and chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everything begins there and ultimately ends there also. So Sankirtan movement means these two things. Keep in mind, the holy name and transcendental literatures. Same thing that Prabhupada did when he went in America, Thompson Square. He sat down under a tree and chanted Hare Krishna. Second movement Prabhupada calls deity worship movement. Deity worship movement. Establishing a center where those who have heard the holy name, those who have received transcendental literature, can have a place where they can actually have darshan of the Lord, where they can begin worshipping the Lord. Second movement. Third movement, Srila Prabhupada calls it spiritual initiation movement. Naturally, once we know something about spiritual life, something about Krishna, we visit a temple, then if we are attentive, we'll become more serious, we'll want to become more committed, and we will want to join the family, the spiritual family of Krishna consciousness, which means at some point become committed by taking initiation. That is a third movement, spiritual initiation movement, which in our present ISKCON society is referred to as congregational preaching, isn't it? Where we train individuals, what you're doing here, in many ways also. And the fourth movement, you have to listen carefully. The fourth movement, Srila Prabhupada gave it a title which initially might be a little confusing or bewildering. He calls it classless society movement. Classless society movement. But he explains that it doesn't mean that there are no divisions in society, no classes. There are the 4 varnas and the 4 ashramas. He's referring to the varnashrama system, but where everyone is focused on serving Krishna. Everyone is engaged in devotional activities to the Lord. Everyone is a devotee, or at least aspiring to become, endeavoring to become a devotee Vaishnava. And therefore, everyone is equal in that sense, but taking on, accepting some particular role or position. And Prabhupada would actually give the example, just like in a drama. I'm sure some of you have acted in drama. And the whole material, we're all in many ways in our own little drama. But when there is a drama, people take on different roles and positions. When they're on the stage, if they're good at it, they will act out their role very nicely so that they will convince their audience. But one who's on the stage, he knows that actually I'm not really that person that I'm representing. And as soon as he gets off the stage, he comes back to his natural position. So Prabhupada explains that actually Varnashrama Dharma, the different Varnas that are there and ashramas, is very much like a stage. We accept, we take on, we agree to play out some particular role, always keeping in mind that actually that is secondary. What is most important is our development of Krishna consciousness. So these four movements, Srila Prabhupada actually introduced in the early stages, in the early days when he went to America, especially I remember even as late as 1973, which was when I first went to a temple, the main activities were devotees would go out for hours, many hours, 6, 8, 10 hours. That was the main, because we had no books at that time. We had Back to Godhead magazine, and that was the main distribution. Quite early in the movement, Srila Prabhupada, of course, the first thing he did was he established the first temple at 26 2nd Avenue in New York, and started, before that, started chanting at Thompson Square Park, and encouraged the devotees to distribute literatures, and then established New Vrindavan community, and encouraged devotees to establish other communities as well. What I'm saying is that basically Srila Prabhupada introduced these four movements. And he spoke quite extensively, quite often, of the need for our society to actually not only exclusively deal with, let's say, the first three of the four movements that he spoke about, which includes the chanting of the holy name, establishing deities, etc. But Prabhupada spoke of the importance of establishing self-sufficient communities, tried to explain to us in so many ways how Vedic culture is primarily something most of us are maybe less aware of, but Vedic culture is primarily an agrarian-based culture. Vedic culture is primarily a cow-based culture, where we know how Mother Cow is described very extensively in our Shastra as being that so many different species of life are there. After the cow body, living entity automatically gets a human body, isn't it? Cows are in the mode of goodness by nature. Nature's way, nature's arrangement. And therefore, naturally, whatever Krishna does, he does perfectly. He creates this material world in such a way that we are meant to associate, especially with two personalities. Vedic culture, we are meant to associate with brahmanas and cows. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Cows and brahmanas belong to the same family. Means the mode of goodness. And therefore, when we begin to analyze Krishna's plan as opposed to our own plan, then we begin to understand how it's such a wonderful plan, which is actually there to facilitate us in advancing in Krishna consciousness. There are many very important statements made by Srila Prabhupada on this subject matter, and I wanted to introduce one of the books that was compiled on the request of the GBC way back in 1996, which was celebrating Srila Prabhupada's centennial, isn't it? In 1996, we celebrated Srila Prabhupada's 100th anniversary. And at that time, there was quite a bit of discussion regarding community development. Because ultimately, Harinam Sankirtan means congregation. Congregation means community, isn't it? And there was a desire and an effort to actually, a group of devotees were commissioned to study the subject matter, and the result of their research is actually this book here, which is entitled Speaking About Varnashrama. Speaking About Varnashrama is 100% different quotations or sayings directly from Srila Prabhupada, either from his books, his lectures and conversations. It is a book that I highly recommend. It's on the folio, actually. You can find it in the folio. You can also find Gita Nagari, it's on the folio, although the essay Gita Nagari has not been published. When Prabhupada speaks about modern day civilization being a misdirected civilization, when he speaks about modern day civilization as being a doomed civilization, Prabhupada's own words, when he speaks about modern civilization as very soon coming to an end, these types of statements should resonate, should mean something to us. If we are in a situation where it will very soon change in a very dramatic way, if we are in a situation where we are very far away from what is meant to be the standard of life according to Vedic literature, then we should ask ourselves a few questions, isn't it? In many of these, well, if anyone reads this book, and again, I was mentioning this morning at the ISKCON Hyderabad temple that the temple, not only this temple, but actually every temple, and for that matter every community, should at least once a week hear what Srila Prabhupada is telling. Just like we read in some temples on a regular basis the Lilananda Prabhupada to know about, our founder Acharya, because the subject matter happens to be 50% of Prabhupada's unfulfilled mission. It becomes even more, I would say, urgent and critical for all of us, as much as possible, to try and understand what it means and what are the practical implications in our own personal lives and in our communities, wherever we may be. And of course, we know that the majority of devotees are living in cities. Cities in themselves are not bad. Modern cities, however, are bad. Isn't it? And Prabhupada spoke quite often about the degraded condition. He began that actually when he went just before arriving in New York, describing how, my dear Lord, you brought me to this horrible place. This horrible place where the vast majority of people are completely covered by the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. How will it be possible for these people who are so heavily influenced by the modes of material nature, how will it be possible for them to understand this very sophisticated, very high subject matter of love of Krishna, love of God? And so that very nice prayer composed by Srila Prabhupada, it remains a responsibility and duty actually of every member of the Krishna consciousness movement. I mean, it is very much our primary duty and responsibility to understand the subject matter of Dharma. And in as much as spiritual Dharma, I should mention, Dharma is not only something spiritual. Our acharyas speak about spiritual swadharma. What is our spiritual original nature? Our spiritual duty and responsibility. That's one level of Dharma. And of course, all of us who are fortunate to have come in contact with the Krishna consciousness movement, we know something about that, and we endeavor every day to practice by any of the 9 activities, isn't it, of devotional service, beginning with Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, etc., Atmanivedanam. But there's another level of Dharma which is, amazingly, when we think about it, which is somewhat evading us, which is similar to a spiritual swadharma, which is very very scientific and in many ways very simple. There's the level of what we call material swadharma, which in the present context in which we are living in modern day society, not so easy to understand. And in many ways that's why we as a society, Krishna conscious society, we have not been able to, I would say, act on the various instructions given by Srila Prabhupada in that respect. And if we fail to do that, it means we will fail to execute one of the very important instructions given by Srila Prabhupada. So material, I think we all understand, Prabhupada explains how spiritual swadharma is understood simply by this instruction given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas. We all know this, and we're all endeavoring in different ways to put that into practice and to realize that our first and foremost duty and responsibility is to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, knowing that we are His eternal servants. The other level of Dharma, in many ways, has become critical for us to understand it. Why? Because it is directly affecting our ability to understand our spiritual Dharma. It is affecting our ability to practice what is meant to be our spiritual Swadharma. And this material Swadharma refers directly actually to Varnashrama Dharma, which is more easily understood if we look at it in the context of lifestyle, based on what Prabhupada so often explained as simple living and high thinking. And in a practical way, it is connected with what is referred to as natural gifts of nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has created this material world, giving to all of us 3 very essential, what is called gifts of nature, without which we cannot properly live, without which we cannot properly realize what is the goal of life. And these are fundamental. They are the basis of our Vedic culture, which to a large extent has been followed and practiced up until maybe 100 or 200 years. Within the last 200 years especially, we have been going away from this basic lifestyle. And to such an extent or to such a point that we practically have forgotten about it. We definitely have forgotten its significance and importance. And it's part of the whole, the whole modern, very heavy layer of Maya that is surrounding and influencing all of us and affecting all of us even as devotees. Those three gifts of nature are referred to, of course, in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, but spoken especially by Grandfather Bhishma Dev in the Mahabharata. We know that at the end of Grandfather Bhishma Dev's life, at the end of the Battle of Kurukshetra, when he is lying on his bed of arrows, it is Krishna's arrangement that Yudhishthira Maharaj, who was feeling very morose, very bad, that all of this has taken place just for me to become, the king. The only person to actually console and comfort Yudhishthira Maharaj was Grandfather Bhishma Dev. Although so many other great personalities were there, Krishna himself. So Grandfather Bhishma Dev, of course, spoke quite extensively on many subject matters, and one of those subject matters are these three gifts of nature. Because he's speaking to someone who is going to be assuming the responsibility of a monarch, isn't it? The emperor of the whole world. To govern society. And he begins by explaining how the first gift of nature, upon which all of us actually need as individuals, and which all living entities, not only ourselves as human beings, but all living entities depend upon, is actually Mother Cow. Mother Cow is described as the first and most fundamental gift of nature. Gava Pratista Bhutanam. Cows actually, when we give the necessary time to understand their role and their position in society, help to sustain actually the whole universe. I'll try to explain a little bit about that after a few minutes. The second gift of nature was intimately connected with cows, and who is another mother, is Mother Bhumi, the land. Vedic culture, as I mentioned a little earlier, and as we see throughout the Bhagavatam, is an agrarian culture where we are meant to be intimately connected actually with the land, with this Mother Nature, and Mother Cow, both of whom need to coexist. And the third gift of nature described by Grandfather Bhishma Dev is Mother Saraswati, or the goddess of learning, the cultivation of proper knowledge, which means from our Shastra, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we can purify our consciousness, elevate our consciousness. So when these three natural gifts of nature are not part of our lives, we should know that actually something is not right. And these are definitely, in general society, very far removed from our daily lives, isn't it? And we all know, to some extent or another, how very badly, very severely, these three mothers are being exploited. Our modern, we call dairy industry, is an industry. That in itself tells everything, isn't it? Where we are simply exploiting mother cow. Not only exploiting mother cow, but slaughtering them, on a very large scale. Prabhupada would say that at different times in the history, wars occur directly because of our allowing the slaughter of innocent cows. And we know how the soil, the land, is also Mother Nature, very badly exploited as well. So much so that we are facing a global crisis. It is referred to as the problem of desertification. Desertification means that the land is becoming more and more desert-like. The soil is losing its ability to properly supply or give produce. And whatever produce is there is devoid of the nutrients that we need actually to be healthy. And the third, of course, education. Knowledge means education. We referred to that a little earlier. Modern education is another form of slaughterhouse, because not giving young souls the proper knowledge as to who they are and what the purpose of life is. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted to wanted to counteract this very negative and destructive situation in which we find ourselves in by one of the important instructions he gave, by establishing Varnashram colleges, by establishing centers where these basic concepts and principles explaining about dharma, our different duties and responsibilities, are explained, presented, and also connected with education. Srila Prabhupada wanted that we introduce traditional gurukulas. And thirdly, Srila Prabhupada wanted, one time he wrote one letter to some of his devotees, "I will soon be coming to India. Please organize a vehicle so I can go from village to village." How many of you are from village background? Hare Krishna. Yeah, good number. I think we all understand and we all know how for the last so many decades people have been leaving the villages, which is actually a very bad sign, which is ultimately on the long run going to destroy us. Our village, the more our villages are abandoned, that means the more our cows are abandoned. The more the cows are abandoned, the more the soil is also exploited. We don't use bulls or bullocks to plow the land since so many decades now. And we are ruining in so many ways not only the soil, but also the lives of individuals who are living in villages. There's a great need for all of us actually to go to the villages, to reach out in the villages, to actually save our villages. We have a ministry here in India called ISKCON Daiva Varnashrama Ministry, established since year 2009. And the motto, one of the mottos is, save our cows, save our villages, and save our culture. They're all interconnected. So whenever I visit temples or communities, I make this humble request that devotees become more acquainted with this aspect of Srila Prabhupada's mission, especially by reading this particular book and by reading other references. For example, in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, chapters 11 to 15, the last 5 chapters of the 7th canto, I highly recommend all of you to actually read and study this particular section. So Srila Prabhupada, yes, although born in Calcutta, describing himself as a city boy, Srila Prabhupada had a very clear understanding and very clear vision in terms of what we as individuals and as a society should be doing to actually help reestablish the principles of Dharma. That is very much our mission as individuals and as a society, and that is my humble request to all of you. Wherever you may be living, whatever occupation you may be having, we should all endeavor to understand this mission. We should very much connect with this idea that we are on a mission. The mission of individually ourselves striving for self-realization, number one. And secondly, the mission of endeavoring to bring as many people in the fold of Krishna consciousness. And thirdly, endeavoring to bring about the necessary changes to reintroduce Vedic culture. It is possible, it is predicted in the Shastra, as we mentioned earlier. We are in the very early beginnings of the golden era of Satya Yuga. For those who have the eyes to see, we can all develop these eyes. We can begin to observe symptoms of this Kali Yuga, even now. Even amidst the horrors of our 22nd century, because materialism in so many ways continues to move forward. But simultaneously, Krishna consciousness is definitely here to stay and will continue to expand in ways that are probably unimaginable to all of us. As Prabhupada would explain, who would know, who knew that that I would come to the Western world? Who knew that all of you, he was speaking to his disciples, would take interest and become serious about spreading the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who knew 50 years ago how in so many countries around the world, people from all kinds of nationalities and backgrounds would become serious about Krishna consciousness? I was mentioning something that Prabhupada some time back explained in the context of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the short time that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached and traveled in India. So Prabhupada explains that means basically from the age of, after taking sannyas from the age of 24 to 30, because after the age of 30, Mahaprabhu was basically in Jagannath Puri. So Prabhupada explains that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that he traveled very extensively all over India, and he gave the opportunity to so many conditioned souls to actually become Krishna conscious. This is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he has left the rest of the world for ISKCON to spread Krishna consciousness. So that means that all of us, in our different ways, wherever we may be, we can avail of this opportunity. We should avail of this opportunity to help introduce Krishna consciousness, and in this way please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please our acharyas, and by pleasing them, of course, get their mercy. I just want to briefly mention about something that was started maybe 2 years back in the context of Varnashrama. It's called Varnashram College Online. Naturally, when this whole global crisis of COVID happened, it affected everyone in so many ways. So a group of devotees began giving courses online, as so many people went online as well. And maybe about a year back, we decided that in addition to having something online, it's also very much in keeping with Srila Prabhupada's desire to establish an actual Varnashram college, which we have begun to do actually in the sacred land of Sridham Mayapur. We have some literature in the back and some pamphlets that explain a little bit about that. And we need to create and give an opportunity to as many people as possible to learn about this dimension or this aspect of Prabhupada's mission. So I encourage you to take some of these literatures that will be there, and maybe some of these pamphlets you can put in the back there. I'm sure there's many more things to be said, but I will look at my note again here. It's still in front of me. There should be actually, and I very much encourage any kind of question or comment in relation to this, because I know that for many there will be some questions, and because during Prabhupada's time, actually, when Prabhupada spoke about Varnashrama, many of his even close disciples had various reservations or had many questions, and even were not directly challenging, but were asking all kinds of questions where Prabhupada had to further explain the whole subject matter. So we'll take some time for... Do you have an extra mic by chance? Okay, it happens.
You can loudly say the question.
Yeah, okay. That's more or less close to being set up.
Yeah, it's already set up.
Okay. Yeah.
Every project ends.
Okay. Yeah.
You can take the mic.
is yours.
Hare Krishna. We're going to show a couple of videos, short videos, where you can actually see what Maharaj is doing. And to start with the Mayapur Gurukul project, on the projector please. Can someone switch off the lights on this side, in that corner there? Is it on? Yeah. No, not the whole lights. Yeah, only this side. Only this light. Yeah, good, very good.
Could you kindly tell us where we are, because we are making this traditional well here. We started with that and we are going to make it tea. So to all our viewers in all the world, we'd like to just share some information about this place in Nandigram, Sri Mayapur.
Yes. So we are in Sri Mayapur on the east side of the temple of the planetarium. Which is therefore we're walking in the western direction, so it's not.
So temple is right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
behind us, and we are also not too far away from the Mayapur Institute.
Right.
And in terms of, for example, we're not far from the Jalangi as well.
So Jalangi is in the south.
Jalangi
This
is on the
side?
south, and just
South and east
close.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, and just close to this whole area is Nandigram.
So
It's
this
going
is
to be known more and more as Nandigram.
Nandigram. Okay.
Nandigram. So we're just actually immediately north of Rasamrita Kunj,
Right.
which is of course north of the Jalangi. Jalangi
Okay.
is not so far away from here. And we're standing on the land that will be known as Varnashram College Foundation. This whole area here actually will be having different structures. For example, we will have in the center of the college,
Yeah.
we'll be having, yes, we'll be having a Nat Mandir and deities of Gornitai
Gornitai and Krishna.
and Krishna Balaram as well.
Okay.
On this side, actually, we'll be having the administration,
This one.
administration building along with classrooms.
Okay.
Yeah. On this side, the east side, we'll be having residence for students. We will have a kitchen, a shalom hall, everything
Wonderful.
complete, yes. And then on the northeast
that's
side,
northeast.
on that corner side, we'll be having a nice pukur. Not just a small one.
So I can see, Maharaj, that we are following the Vastu rules. or-
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
What is the significance of following the Vastu rules?
Vastu
Why should we follow?
is one of the important sciences in our Vedic culture, whereby one learns to live and harmonize with nature.
So basically, we are in this universe and
Yes,
to
there are so many
get the full
different
harmony.
There's so many different laws and so many different energies at work. And in the Vedic literatures, these are explained. Vastu is one of the sciences whereby we keep that in mind. And therefore, when we build a house or make a well, for example, as we're doing,
Yes.
there's a specific place where it is more ideal so that there's the more harmony.
Harmony with the energies of the
energies.
universe.
Correct. So it's more
That's
healthy.
beautiful. So we will have a pukur, we have got a well, we
Yes,
have...
the well is actually in the mango orchard.
Right.
In addition, just to finish up on the Varnashram College, we'll
Yes.
also have a Vaishnav Research Institute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Varnashram College campus is having a Vaishnav Research Institute.
Yes, on the campus itself.
Okay.
Correct. So that's happening here. On this side, we're just entering what is going to be the residential area for the Varnashram College, where we will have a series of bungalows.
So this is a residential
The
block.
whole area will cover about 22 katas of land. So 1/3 of an
It's like
acre.
1/3 of acre.
Of an acre approximately. And so the entrance is on the south side. We'll be having a parking lot.
Parking lot, okay.
Then the road will be coming here on this east side.
Okay.
All the residents will be entering from the east side.
So the entrance for the bungalows is from the east.
Correct, yes.
And I can see the mango grove.
There's a very large mango grove, and one portion of the college, actually, this northern portion,
Okay.
is also going to be part of the International College. I'll be having a coutier there.
Yes, I know.
Right here, we'll be having our Goshala.
So we have a cow shed.
Yes,
Like,
anyone who comes here actually will have the good fortune, of seeing cows and doing
Beautiful.
some little go seva.
wonderful. So anybody entering to study is first having an opportunity to have darshan and seva to cow.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
That is very much in line with our Vedic culture as well.
I mean, I am very much, because I'm related with cows and bulls, so for me
Yes,
it's
of
very
course.
fascinating.
And we're fortunate also. I mean, the Nandi sanctuary is just close by.
right, Maharaj. So thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving this opportunity to all our viewers to have an excursion, to know this residential complex, the college complex. We have kutir and cow shed and traditional well and pukur.
Correct.
So it's amazing, and some growing area probably
Yes.
for natural food.
And the whole area also, from what I understand from your good self, have at least 108 fruit trees.
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj. We have got more than that. More than 108 fruit trees.
And then in addition to that, other trees.
Other 500 to 700
Yeah,
trees.
yeah.
Yes. So it's a green place.
Green place.
Nandigram.
Yes, and I came to know that these arecanut trees give a lot of oxygen.
Okay, that was
Added
okay.
feature.
That's quite encouraging. Added feature. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Hare Krishna.
नंदीग्राम प्रोजेक्ट की जय, मायापुर वर्णाश्रम कॉलेज की जय. Maharaj, should I show a Hebrew video also? Yeah. Okay. So this is in Karnataka. How many have here gone to Udupi? Yeah. So the full darshan of Udupi is when you also go to Hebrew. So it's quite close by, and we had gone there. The only mistake me and my wife did is we went a little late. Though even we were warned that if you want to see the project, you have to go a little early. But by the time we went, the sun had already set. And the beauty of the project is there is no electricity. So we have to see it naturally. But what we really enjoyed is the Gaur Arati, which was the first time under candles. It's a beautiful Gaur Arati. We spent some time there and then we left. So this is a beautiful project. And there is actually two videos I have there. One is Shayadri Parashurama Gurukula. Should I play that one, Maharaj, or the... Yeah, okay. So this is the Gurukula that Maharaj has established. You can see that. This is where Maharaj lives when he's there. about speaking, it's about doing and doing it personally. Maharaj sets an example by spending most of his time in such places which are established in remote corners of the country, but they give the divine bliss and, like Maharaj says, the right environment to cultivate our spiritual life. One thing Maharaj showed in one of his videos where Prabhupada said that we need cities for preaching, but we need villages and that kind of setups for devotees to actually experience and live to practice spiritual life. His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai. Shri Shayadri Parshuram Gurukula project ki Jai. So how many want to visit here next time you are going that side? Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Maharaj, should I show the project in Canada, the Sharanagati? A glimpse of it, or yeah? In the meantime, I'll also pull up the video that Prabhuji is saying. So there are many videos actually. This is one of the Sharanagati project. I don't know which one to play. There is a Gaumata. This one? You can play first. This one? Yeah. This is in Canada. Vidyarthi Dham project team. So there are many, many exciting projects. Actually, there is one more project in Indonesia. Apparently, I don't have the video right now. I have some other video which I'll be downloading. In the meantime, I'll request Maharaj to add a few words about these projects. Switch on the lights.
Actually, the project we should be showing, the main project is in Indonesia. How many have been to Indonesia? Wow. Okay. Bali, I suppose. So our project is not in Bali, although we do have quite a few temples in Bali, and we do have a community as well that is called Gorahari. The main project that we have is on the island of Sumatra. Many of you may not know that Indonesia is the fourth largest populated country in the world, and it is, spread over 3 time zones. It's huge, and it has something like 17,500 islands. You can get lost. So on one of those islands called Sumatra, there is Bali, like on the east, then west is Java, where the capital, Jakarta, is located, and then west of that island of Java is the island of Sumatra, quite a large island. As a matter of fact, Sumatra on the western side practically touches Malaysia. You can cross over to Malaysia. So in the mid-1990s, I started to visit Indonesia for the first time. And one of my godbrothers had been preaching there for many years. And we started some youth hostel in both Yogyakarta, which is in between Bali and Jakarta. And then we started another hostel on the province of what is called Lampung. Lampung is on east side of Sumatra island. So we were cultivating these young people, both boys and girls, who were about to graduate, and then knowing that soon they would graduate and that they would start looking for a job, and we would, in all likelihood, lose them. We started explaining about Varnashrama concept and the idea of making a self-sufficient community. So some of the core leaders, natural leaders who were there, very much liked the idea. And as a result, just before they graduated, we had them start looking for land, and both Gaurmandal Bhumi Prabhu, my godbrother, who is from Australia, and myself, we, along with their help, we found 150 acres of land where we started the project. That was in 1999. If you ever again visit Indonesia, don't only visit Bali, although Bali is wonderful. I mean, Indonesia is a fascinating country. Indonesia, although the largest Muslim country in the world, and that's why we can't have really a website and make much publicity about it, but happens to be also, even though officially a Muslim country, the Vedic culture is still very much present. So today we have in that community about 150 devotees living there, maybe some 40, 45 families. And some of those early devotees who began the project have grown-up children who are now married and also they're becoming grandparents. Within the last 23 years. It's it's very, very inspiring actually to see how a group of young people, they were all in their early 20s, took seriously to the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, became inspired to actually establish such a community, and it's still ongoing. For the first maybe close to 20 years, that community was without electricity. Every home has its own open well, you know, like the traditional times, and there's cultivation. Everyone, the whole area was it was divided. The land of 150 acres was divided into three: 50 acres as residential plots that were divided by one of our devotees who was knowing about Vastu, and within that 50 acres, naturally, residents of the devotees, maybe we have facility for about 50 or so families. Now we're close to kind of reaching the amount of families that we can accommodate. And then we have our own temple, our own school. All of the teachers are our own devotees. All of the students are devotees as well. So there's constant, continuous devotee association. We have our own a library, we have our own administrative block, we have cows, etc. like that. The other 50 acres of land is for agriculture, and the other 50 is for like forest that we are maintaining. We started to establish the 12 forests of Vrindavan on a mini scale, mini level, and they naturally perform all the different festivals like Janmashtami, etc. Beautiful temple, and there's a nice carved deity of Nrsimhadev. In two places, actually, we have Nrsimhadev in Indonesia. Both deities actually carved by a Muslim person. So he probably got a lot of mercy by carving Lord Nrsimhadev. So we definitely invite all of you to visit. As a matter of fact, a group of devotees were leaving in a few days to spend, the devotees will spend basically 10 days and come back because everyone is mostly being grihastas or busy. But generally when I go to Indonesia, I spend 1 month and travel around to different places. We have maybe some 15, 20 different temples all over different islands. And every month, just to reconnect with the whole Varnashrama concept, every month we have Go Puja on Purnima being performed in about 30 different places. Devotees who have cows and who understand the importance of actually remembering and worshipping and serving Mother Cow. So, thank you very much. Something else?
Prabhuji sent a video that I did.
Yeah. I didn't know we were going to the movies tonight. Anyway.
Hare Krishna. This is one of the Gurukuls where Maharaj is giving training on Kshatriya. So it's we have more than 300 kids as of now all over India under Maharaj's direction.
Haribol, 300 children. Hare Krishna. Haribol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Yeah, one second, I'm just going. This one? This one. It has to download, I think. Yes.
Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj distributing lattes to the Guru, please. You can see all the boys are practicing this lathi.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. There's one more video of Indonesia that is sent by Prabhuji. I'll just play that. One second. Yeah, I think, yeah, this one. Oh, this is India, sorry. Yeah.
We're here at Sai Sri Krishna Balaram Chitra. This is our main reception area, and the cows are just coming out this morning. First out is Surabhi. Actually, she just gave handsome up there. Oh, hey. Come on. Somebody has to. Hey. Have to they'll go the other way now. With stick, you have to go out. Surabhi's coming back. No, Subhadra. Two Matajis around collision. Our cows are going out. Actually, Subhadra and Lakshmi, they look very similar. One is a mother, and Subhadra is a mother, actually. And the daughter is Lakshmi. Subhadra is the one in the front. I believe, it's hard to tell, actually. This is
Hare Krishna. So these videos are there in YouTube. There are quite of them that you can go to. So how many here want to visit Hebri farm and see this? Yeah, Hari Bol. And how many want to go to Indonesia and see the project there? Okay. And if you don't get leave, all you have to do is just resign and you can come back and take the job. Hare Krishna. So now we'll switch on the lights. We'll have brief questions and answers. I would like to start with my own question, Maharaj. Is it okay, Maharaj? We can start with few question answers. Hare Krishna. So I have a question, Maharaj. That Maharaj practically grown up in the city life here. Thinking of going and doing agriculture is a far off thought. You know, sometimes it's even very uncomfortable for the family or even for myself. So how can I be directly and indirectly part of this Varnashram project and be of some contribution?
And naturally, this is a common question because the majority of our devotees are not from this type of natural background, village background. However, as devotees, we should try to understand the mission that Prabhupada described and how we can in some way be part of that. Although Srila Prabhupada directed in many ways that and explained, the Shastra explains, the majority of our devotees, majority of citizens in any country, especially a country like India, are meant to actually be living in villages. This might sound or might seem like something a little difficult to accept or to understand. That's why I was referring to the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, where Narada Muni explains and Prabhupada comments and further elaborates how for the majority of householders, the means of livelihood, kindly hear attentively, the means of livelihood for the majority of householders is meant to be agriculture. Now, anyways, I won't get into that so much. The question is, well, how can I maybe be part of that universe, since it's something that is described in our Shastra, since it is explained and something that Prabhupada wanted us to not only become aware of, but also participate in an active way. Not everyone will be able to relocate in villages, but we should know that actually this is the Vedic norm. That we should know. How we can participate, how we can support, I think that will vary from one individual to another, because we all have different situations. Definitely, we should know that, again, trying to explain what Prabhupada again and again so often underline, our whole modern setup as we know it today is not sustainable. It will not last. As a matter of fact, in one conversation, Prabhupada argued with one devotee, are you still going to be in the cities when the cities collapse? I'm just repeating what Prabhupada is trying to convey. We definitely need to prepare our devotees. That can be done one of the ways by having these Varnashram colleges, training, etc. You know, in the 20th century, we've had the years of depression. I'm not saying that we're going to be having those again, but actually the scenario is very much building up in that way. So my recommendation is that devotees try to familiarize themselves with these instructions. Those who can relocate in villages, I definitely encourage that. It cannot be done overnight, but the more we understand its importance, the more we understand how it is an integral part of our Vedic culture, the more we understand how, the more we are removed from that lifestyle, we are in so many ways creating or encouraging or being part of an artificial way of living, modern day lifestyle. So I would encourage devotees to, for example, visit any communities that are there. We have a number of communities here in India. You don't all have to go to Indonesia. Of course, you're welcome to come, and we encourage that as well. But we have a growing number of communities coming up here in India. Please visit some of them, meet with the devotees, visit possibly some Goshala, or you're already doing something very tangible in terms of having cows and having Goshala. Try to render some seva, if not directly by physically going to a Goshala, support possibly activities of different Goshalas that are being maintained by some of our devotees. In your home, have pictures of Mother Cow on your altar as well, so that you can become conscious of her importance within society. You can sponsor like Go Puja or be part of a Go Puja every month to begin with. In other words, slowly, gradually try to accommodate this whole dimension of Prabhupada's mission as part of your life in Krishna consciousness, gradually understanding more and more how important it is. Help support the establishment of Gurukul traditional education, isn't it? I mentioned earlier about going in the villages. Simply by going in the villages, you will be able to get many different realizations about, for example, introduce, try to grow, you can grow things in your home regardless of where you are living. Even in a high-rise apartment on the balcony, you can start to grow something. Reconnect, try to reconnect with Mother Nature. Grow, Prabhupada, very, very often he mentioned, first is food. Every day we need food. So that food actually should be, ideally, Vedic culture, that's the standard. Everyone grows their own food. We should consume only what is known as ahimsa milk. Ahimsa milk is very important. We should take milk only from protected cows. As a matter of fact, there was a GBC resolution that was passed maybe 4 years ago, mentioning that by the year 2022, and here we are in 2022, every temple should only offer ahimsa milk to the deities. We should use Pancagavya products. We should use soap, which is not actually made from all kinds of chemicals. Soaps are made from fat. A lot of that fat is coming from animals. A lot of that fat is coming from cows. Yes. Try to understand what food you are eating. Be selective in what you're eating. Try to get food produced from devotees who are growing food. Prabhupada wanted a standing order, another standing order by Srila Prabhupada, that every single temple within a 50-kilometer radius of that temple should have a farm community. You see? We're very far away from having realized this. Some temples do have a farm community. So there are many different practical ways that can help us become more acquainted, more understanding of what is actually the Vedic norm. Otherwise, what's going to happen is the following scenario. If we don't voluntarily move in this direction, Krishna is already actually creating a situation where very abruptly we will be forced to actually go back to a more natural way of living. We need to understand that we're not living in a natural way. We are, in different ways, of course, we can see we are forced by the arrangement that is there. But as the devotees, we should at least be aware that this is not good, that this is not natural, and that it is having so many detrimental effects on how we are living and ultimately also affecting our development of Krishna consciousness. So you can connect with, one of the things we're doing is setting up what is called Varnashram research teams from the ministry, groups of devotees who come together and become more acquainted about this whole understanding. I know it's not so easy in the beginning, especially for those who've not really given this very much thought. And the whole modern setup is more or less making us believe that, well, that's the way life is and that's the way it's going to be. But the reality is that if we hear sufficiently from our acharyas, especially from Srila Prabhupada, what we are living now, what we are seeing now, is not going to stay for a long time. It cannot. It's just not, it's just not sustainable, and therefore we should endeavor to become more aware. And then Krishna, as we endeavor to understand, as we practice our Krishna consciousness, Krishna will give us the good intelligence to find other ways in which we can do something very concrete and practical. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. And there are many projects in and around Hyderabad. His Grace Sriram Prabhu there. Yeah, he also heads a very nice project. What is the place name, Prabhuji? Kamyavan. Sadasivpet, Kamyavan. You can browse it. You can go there and visit. Prabhuji has nicely set up a project there. Even we in Gachibowli Satsang, we are trying to do something. There is a place called Mudimyal village, which is on the way to Chevella. When I went to their village, I just wanted to have a private farmhouse. That was the whole idea, and have a satsang there. That was the idea we started. But I had desire of one cow. Then some devotees came and said, we'll also have our cow. So our cow, his cow, my cow became 60 cows. So we don't really milk the cows there. But one thing really was very upsetting was when we went to the village, there were 0 cows in the village. The whole village, it is more than 2,000 families who live in that village, big village, Mudimyal, 0 cows in the village. And now, by the grace of Krishna, we all have started taking milk from those. We encourage the farmers. We said, you get the cows, you can give that milk to us for a good price. If the cow is not giving milk, you can give the cow to us, we'll take care of it. But don't let it go. Let's not get into this culture. We're trying that. And with the grace of Krishna, right now, farmers have close to 12 cows. We have reached there so far. And we'll see how much, in a little way we're trying to do. And Maharaj also is very much encouraging for book distribution. Hyderabad temple book distribution has not much been known for different reasons, but in the last 2 years, from the time Sriram Prabhu, where is Sriram Prabhu? Yes. From the time Sriram Prabhu came, in the last year, Hyderabad temple came 3rd in the whole world in medium temples. Very nice encouragement of distributing books, and I'm very grateful to even all the Gachibowli Satsang devotees. So Maharaj, we have one request. We wanted some of the devotees, they finished their Bhakti Shastri. Can you click that? Yeah. So they just want to receive certificates from your holy hands, Maharaj. Is that okay? Haribol. So so there is a wrong parking here, TS07HR 2126. 2126. Whose our car it is? Can you lift your hand, anybody here? 2126. And if you are so renounced to disown the car, you don't have to lift the hands. Okay, Hare Krishna. So you have the devotees there in the alphabetical order there. So please get up and start coming this side. Maharaj doesn't have much time. Maharaj may have to leave. I just heard from his servant that it's Ekadashi and Maharaj has been fasting throughout the day. So he'll just give the certificates and then Maharaj may have to leave. But after that, we will continue for a few more minutes. We have a presentation of a Gurukul in Hyderabad near Yadagiri Gutta. His Grace Sudama Gopal Prabhu is here. They are doing this Gurukul project, and a very nice project. I want everybody to hear it for 10 minutes. And then we'll have brief Aarti of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra and Nitai Sachinandan here. So just hang on. So we'll just have the Bhakti Shastri certificates. I can tell you all the students here. Can everybody start coming this side? Whoever are there on this list, please don't let me call your name and then come. Just come this side so it's quick. So you can quickly, yeah. So everybody here, they worked very hard. We encourage them not to cheat. They have not cheated. So they have written their exams very sincerely. So where are the certificates here? Yeah. So we will start announcing the names. So whoever is a devotee can pay obeisances, take the certificate from Maharaj's hands. So His Grace Akinchan Pre Prabhu. Hari Bol. Akinchan Pre. Then where is the Prabhu? Prabhu, you come this side, no? You come this side. You have the certificates. Yeah. They will give it to them. Okay, I'll stand this way. Come this way. You can come. Anuradha Priya Devidasi. Hari Om. Deepa Nitala Mataji. Everybody else, can you please sit down? Please sit down, everybody else. Yeah. Durga.
To bless us with this, Yeah, we have a beautiful Gurukul close to Yadigiri Gutta called Mudgala Rishikulam. Yes. So it is said that it takes a village to raise a child. So we have in a village setup, we have a beautiful school community. So I'm saying school community because the whole community is based on school and organic farming. And we have a small Goshala and also a small temple where we are accommodating about 50 to 100 kids and about 20 school related families. And also farming related and Go Seva related. So it's a small school community where a child will really have a feel of education. When you see in cities, education is half-hearted. Yeah, you cannot have a full-fledged, full heart, feeling for education, right? So that's what we are trying to do here. Yes. So this is a Prabhupada's quote. Prabhupada, as you were hearing from last 3 years, that Prabhupada really wanted these Gurukuls to come up. So we created a model which is best of both worlds. Always, I was talking to parents, they always have pain that if my child comes to Gurukul, what will he do after the education? Is he going to take care of the cows and farming if he doesn't want to? So it's the best of the both worlds we have. We have a CBSE system. CBSE inspired by IB, International Baccalaureate Education. We chose that because it's a very natural system of education. It's inquiry-based education. So we are inspiring elements from there and creating a beautiful syllabus. Our vision is very clear. We are educators from heart. Yeah, we spent almost 10 years researching and coming up with this Gurukul. So all the 20 people we have, I'll show the team of people we have, all the teachers. All of us are teachers from heart. So at the heart of our hearts, we want to spend good time with kids and give them wonderful education so that they grow organically. I use the word organically because you see how the cities are, right? You heard a lot. We have the models Sage, Shastrik, Academic, Governing and Experiential. One by one I'm going to tell. The Shastrik curriculum I'm showing you, it takes 10 years. If a child is at our school, will become the real, Shastri, right? All the Shastras will be going to cover in this 10 years. Go back, I'll let them just see. Shastras related to memorization, Vedangas, Vedas, Puranas and Itihasas, Smriti and Pancharatras. Vedic Darshanas, non-Vedic Darshanas, schools of Vedanta, Sahitya, Agama, Upavedas and Vaishnava Acharya's books. Yeah. We start with Bhagavad Gita. Of course, our kids are going to learn extensive Shastras. Alright, next one. So the pain comes now. Academics, what will happen? So much time you are spending with the Shastras. So academics, we give the full-fledged. I'm telling you, I'm a teacher from last 20 years. I know how much a child learns in a year. And in 10 years, how much they learn. And how much they use it for the 11th and 12th year and after that the engineering. So we know, from our heart, we know that exactly how much to give so that they excel in academics. Yeah, with CBSE and IB. Go next project. So these are some of our kids right now doing wonderfully. They love school. They love to play and they don't complain about the boredom. I have a daughter, she always complains about boredom. I'm bored, what should I do? So in our Gurukul, students don't get bored. Next problem. Yeah, some of these pictures from our current students. Yes. And we have a beautiful leadership training. Governance, we call governing curriculum, where we teach about self-governance and society governing. If a person is not self-governed, the person cannot govern the society or cannot lead the society. Yeah, it's common thing, right? What is inside comes out. And we have a beautiful experiential learning curriculum. Some of our teachers really put in. We have some IITs who are real the talented brains. You see the A, B, C up to Z, we have all the experiential learning curriculum where the children learn science and technology and other related things in a natural setup. For example, farming, Go Seva, there's a lot to learn. Yeah, about traveling, about how to be joyful in life. I see that the kids are not so happy nowadays. See, so we teach them how to be joyful. Yeah, naturally, not like acting. Yes, you can go ahead. This is the team of our teachers. You can see all the about 20 of us who all are very dedicated and are there to do what all I said before. Yeah? So this Gurukulam is close to Yadagiri Gutta, where we have about 50 acres farm owned by individuals, and we have for a trust, Shastranidhi Trust, we have a land where we are building up the school. Right. Currently we are in Gatkesar, so our kids are in Gatkesar area. So in June we are taking admissions from 1 to 8th grades, where it's primarily the boarding is for boys, but we also have girls' school. As I said, I have a daughter, so we have a girls' school, but it's only for day scholars because we are not ready for girls' boarding yet. The facilities are not there. Okay, next problem. Yes, so you can join our WhatsApp group. Yeah. And you can contact me, that's my number there. You can visit our website. And any questions, there will be a lot of questions, Gurukul, as soon as, someone says Gurukul, what is this? Yeah. So we are there, our table it was supposed to be there. Some are standing there, so we will be there. Any questions, please come to us. We will explain it, neatly. I myself and Nandakumar Prabhu is there, our Vasudev Krishna Prabhu is there. So we will nicely explain. There is Vijay is there, so all of us, will explain thoroughly, what if further questions are there. And we have a flyer and brochure. If anyone interested, please come to us. We'll give you that. Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lilananda Prabhu, I'm done. Where is Prabhu?
Padakamalang Sri Gurun